Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are going to do a quick how-to video on updating your Terminator 3.5-inch screen and Terminator firmware. You're going to flash firmware on both, actually, but essentially I like to use the word update to the latest version of the handheld and update to the latest version of firmware. It seems like this is a scary thing for a lot of people to do, and it's actually not that bad if you use the new contents, entire contents. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that SD card out of the dash, which I should show a video clip at how to do that, but it's very easy. And I put it in the laptop first. So what you're going to see is, you're going to see this guy. I named it Tramulator. So you have your contents on here now. And what I want to explain is this, see how it says LCD 3.5? This is the firmware for the LCD screen. And then in here, in the FW folder, see, Holly? And the FW 100 1.0 is what that means. There is firmware for the screen and firmware for SNEFI is the Terminator firmware. And you can see this is 1.120, and that's what comes up if you have the older software also. And this is where if you save Holly files or you go through the wizard, they go here GCF, the global files. So that's when it says like load global and everything else. So my gripe with this is if you search for the Holly Terminator page, you look here and in the bottom left you can see it says Terminator 1.0 121. So why does the main Terminator page, I've asked Holly this, why does the main Terminator page show you how to download the oldest software? And what we want to do is the entire SD card contents. So I wonder if this is the right one. What you have to do normally is, what I do is we'll go to the support page. See, this is the page you're supposed to go on, but okay. So if you go on Holly's main site, you should just go straight to support, and down here it says fuel injection. Next thing you want to do is choose Terminator X Max, and then this is what we want to get, version 2 SD card contents. So let me look at this file name real quick and see if they're the same. 200R96A 3.1. Nope, it's old. 2.A. So yeah, what you want to do is, if you go to, again, if you go to holly.com, ignore the Terminator page. That's not the latest software, which is funny. So, main page, click support in the upper right, go down here to fuel injection, and choose Terminator X and Max. Now, you're going to download the version 2 SD card contents. That's what you want to grab. And then also we can do this later, but this is the most important one to get installed. So if you download this, you're going to get this guy. And I mean, this is Google Chrome, but you guys can all understand. So it says Tech Library. Oh, man, I butchered that. Tech Library. So this is the SD card contents. This is your SD card now that we still have open. Like if you show your main computer screen, it says SDHC. So, how do we do this? You can use whatever WinZip, WinRAR, Windows zip file stuff you want to. I have WinRAR, and what it does is you can open it directly like this. See, it gives you unlimited free trial, so that's why they always say that. So here's the easiest way is right here. You're going to delete your entire card. Now this is scary, but just delete it because you have all the files over here to the right. If you downloaded it, you have them. See, so this says LCD 1.8, this says LCD 2.0. So, another way, do I still have the Windows version? Extract here? Nah, see, mine took over. Anyway, you're going to open this guy, and then the other way to do it is use Windows to extract the file, and it's going to make a folder, and the folder name is going to be this same thing. It's just going to make a folder, but the most important thing is to get to the Holly, save the logs, and then the firmware for the 3.5, and you're going to dump it. right onto the SD card. So this is going to give you the latest firmware for the handheld, the latest firmware for the ECU itself. You're updating both of them, keep that in mind. And then it will also give you the latest wizard, the version 2.0 wizard, because the old wizard only has a few options. And then the new wizard has a ton of options, from drop-down injectors and map sensors and everything else. So if you're just getting ready to do this, I highly recommend going straight to 2.0 so you don't have to worry about any upgrading at all. Then you'll be starting very fresh. So, waiting for this thing to copy over, and then we will go to the bench and I'll show you what to do at the bench, which is, again, surprisingly simple. You will probably be amazed. This is probably faster if you extract it first, but that's just me layering on IT stuff. So, we're about done. We're about finished. Here we go. That's everything done. What you want to do, normally you can just roll with your stuff off safety and just yank the card. Easiest thing to do is eject the thing so it comes out of Windows. You can safely remove me. So I pulled my SD card out physically, and we will go to the bench. I have a bench harness. You guys would be using it in the car. So same exact thing. You'll get to see all the things that happen. So here we are at the unit. This would be in your car. You have your 3.5 dash right here and everything else. So you got your dash plugged into the CAN bus. You're ready to rock. Look at my nice missile launch switch here. So the important thing is you have your power hooked up correctly and not wishy-washy, because when it goes to flash this or this, if you have a power interruption, you can brick it. So if your power stuff isn't solid, it should be. If your battery's going low, you should charge it or hook it up to a charger and set it on the lowest amperage possible, because if you guys don't know, an AC to DC battery charger can leak a lot of AC power, and it can make this stuff angry. So you're going to want to do about 10 or 2 amps. Make sure everything has enough key on power. This doesn't take a lot of power. It just needs to be constant and clean. You know, you're going to need 5 minutes. I think it takes about 2.5, 3 to do the ECU, and about 30 seconds to do this thing. So the important thing is you put this card in, and I'm going to set this up so I don't have to hold it with one hand. So we'll get it going and we'll show you. Alright, I think I have the best view for this here. So you are going to take the card, obviously, that you removed, put it in securely, have your battery leads ready to rock. Now, again, you got to be ready for this, because the minute this turns on, it's going to find the new handheld firmware and flash immediately. So, the minute I turn this on, it's going to find the new file and flash it. Normally, you turn this on and it just boots and turns on. Well, part of that boot up is looking for new firmware, and then it carries on. I just want to tell you guys exactly what's happening so you got no surprises. So, we're going to turn it on, and I'm going to hold it up here. So the handheld boots, and you can see the minute it turned on, it says found firmware, and it checked it, and it's flashing right now, 45%. So you can see down here it says firmware for the handhelds 180, and now it is updating. It's flashing everything. Boom, done. See what I said? It takes a few seconds. Maybe that was 15. So it's done. It flashed 2.050 in here. So it says remove SD and reboot. You don't have to remove it. Just rebooting this thing's fine. So now I'm going to turn it on, and now it says 2050. And look how fast it boots when it doesn't find a new firmware file. So, oh, it actually says, see, it knows the file is there, and it wants to update the entire thing to version 2. We're going to hit cancel real quick. Yes, it says it's mad because the ECU is so old it's not supported. So, let me make sure my screen's good. What you want to do now is, if it doesn't automatically ask you, you go into Files,
and then ECU hardware firmware. So you're going to hit that, and then you can see it says 1.0120. The minute you hit this, since it has one ECU file, one firmware file, you can put multiple firmware files in, and then it will ask you what to update to. You can also backdate it. It didn't ask. It immediately saw the 2.050 file and went straight to flashing. So right here, it's initializing, it's putting in the bootloader, and then it's flashing 2.050 firmware. And it's not going to take that long, so we will just experience the entire bit of it. It takes so much longer on a computer, you wouldn't believe it. This is about 30 seconds. The Terminator over CAN bus takes about 3 minutes, and if you do this over a USB cable on the old Holley stuff, an HP or a Dominator, it takes 30 minutes. It takes 15 to flash, and then it takes 15 to do a CRC check to make sure the flash went okay. So right now it says firmware upgrade is done. So they want you to reboot it again. So firmware on the ECU is done, firmware on the handheld is done, and we missile launch it again. So this is 2050, and then it connects, and it says you have to do a TPS auto set, but it doesn't say anything about being incompatible and upset. See? You can go to File, you can go to ECU Overview. Oh, where is it? I'm sorry, guys. ECU Firmware Hardware, yeah. So right here, 2.050. That's the firmware. It's in there. It's good. So everything's done, and now you can see that the entire GCF wizard has much more stuff in it. Coyote, Mod Motor, Hemi, everything. So it has much more contents in the new SD card contents wizard completion here. And that's it. You want to do this, and then you want to install a 2.0 software and call it a day.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now that we have the SD card done and we have the handheld done, the 2050, that's one of the nicest, newest releases of version 2 Terminator. Once you install the newest version, which is 2070 instead of 2050, there is newer functionality like the I/O box and some other things, and then 250 does not work with it. So once you download and install the software for right here, which one is it? There, the latest one, 2070, not 2050, added CAN I/O module and additional crank sensor support. So that's not in the new SD card content. So once you download and install version 270 and you install it, what happens here is, if you go into, I know this is scary, but it's not, into your documents folder, there is a Holley, and then this is, you can see I have 4, 5, 6 installed, Terminator X version 1 and Terminator X version 2. They are all here and installed, and if you go into your version 2, which is the software you installed, and if you installed 270, look, it has all the firmware files in here because I've been installing them, 203, 205, and 207. So we have 2050 on the ECU now. And then this is 2070. It comes with the program. It comes with the new version. It doesn't come on the 2.0 contents. They updated the contents folder around 250. It's still the same, except for this is the newest ECU software. So if we just copy this folder, this file, excuse me, and then we go right to our SD card, right to Holley, and then there's a firmware version 2.0. So this is 2050, and then we're going to dump in, you don't even have to delete this, it's an extremely small file. So you put in 2070. And then you eject. Ejected. So now we yank the card and we go back to the bench.
Alright, here we are. Here's the SD card again. We're going to pop it in. Missile launch. Ready to rock. So there's no updates for the 3.5 handheld at all. So this is just an ECU firmware update. So we're going to go into Files again, and then right here, ECU Hardware Firmware. So it may automatically grab the newest file, or it might ask me because now it has 2 firmware files. So we're going to find out right here. I believe if it finds a new one, it's going to go right into it. Nope, see, now you have more than one here. This is what I was talking about. You can backdate. So it shows 2050, which is what we have, and here's 2070. We hit OK. Bam. Same process is going to happen, except for 2070 will be on here. And that's one of the nicest things about these handhelds, is you can hold all these versions of firmware and tunes and everything you can think of. So this is just one of those things that makes the Holly really incredible, especially for noobs, people that don't really mess with this. Imagine doing this with your laptop and everything else, and how difficult it can be and how annoying it can be. So it's incredible that they offer this little guy that can do all of this. It blows my mind. It can do everything. You can even build a tune and fire the car from this. I've done it many times just for fun. And it runs the car. Disgusting. Firmware upgrade done. Reconnect. Yeah. Yeah. I give it like 5 seconds, even though it probably needs the quickest power cycle ever. 2050 handheld, 2070 ECU. It's going to continually ask me to TPS reset. So, file, ECU, 2.070, right there. Newest one. Newest on here, newest on here. You call it a day. That's all there is to it.